Hey everybody, welcome back to the Wolf Pit with another episode of What Are We Eating? Today we're making another Dollar Tree family dinner for $5.80. I already know what you, the people, are thinking. If everything at the Dollar Tree only costs $1, how is the price of a family dinner $5.80 and not an even $6? Well, I got 4 of the 5 ingredients from the Dollar Tree and 1 item from a local grocery store. Like I've mentioned before, you gotta use your imagination and take the time to shop around when you're making family dinners on an extreme budget. But really quick, before we get started, if you're new to the channel, I'm Larry Wolf, hence the channel name, The Wolf Pit, which was originally a barbecue and grilling channel, which is from where the pit in the Wolf Pit comes from. So if you were ever curious about the name of the channel, there you go. Another thing, recently, some of my new viewers have been a little bit confused with my Barry White sounding sweet, deep, soothing voice narrating the video, but then you see a woman's hands and nails cooking in the video. Well, most of the time that's Mrs. Wolfpit or one of my daughters. I've chosen them to be my personal hand models. I have a neuromuscular disease that has partially paralyzed my hands, which obviously makes it very awkward and difficult to cook on camera. So they'd lend a helping hand. No! One more thing really quick while I'm rambling. When I'm making these videos on really tight budget meals, like I mentioned in my last video, some people don't have the luxury of eating until they're full. They're just happy if they have enough to feed themselves and their family, and they're grateful for every bite they have. And if you're able to sit down to a dinner every night to where you can eat until you're full, that's fantastic and you're very fortunate and hopefully grateful. And I mention this because I get a whole lot of comments where people say they could eat the whole meal I prepared for 6 or 8 people by themselves, or that the meal will only feed half the people I say the servings are for. When I see comments like that, I feel like I'm not doing my job and getting the point across, which is, when you're hungry and you don't have a whole lot of money, you're grateful for anything and everything you have to eat. But please don't think I'm saying if you can afford it, don't eat all you can eat, or don't buy extravagant foods. You can and should spend your money however the hell you want to, and eat as much as you want to. So enough of the rambling. Let's get started with today's family meal, which will easily feed 6 people, and if you stretch it, up to 8 people. Here's the ingredients I bought for $5.80. From the Dollar Tree, we got a 5-pack of chicken ramen noodles for $1, a bag of frozen peas, carrots, corn, and green beans for $1, a pack of stir-fry vegetables for $1, which has peppers and onions in it, and a half dozen eggs for 50 cents, for a total of $3.50. My original plan was to make fried rice, but at the time, the Dollar Tree was out of rice, so that's why I opted for the ramen over the rice. And with the ramen being fried, it's not as healthy as the rice would have been. But I wanted to see if I could find some fresh meat for a couple dollars to go in this meal. And I lucked out and went right next door to the Safeway and found a 3/4 pound pack of pork loin for $2.30. Which at $2.99 a pound is not a good price for pork loin. Pork loin is always on sale at one grocery store or another for $1.99 a pound. But if you don't have that extra $10 or so to buy a whole pork loin, then this pack is a good deal because it's all you can afford on a given day. I also wanted some sort of seasoning or sauce to kind of dress the ramen with. Some people probably have a bunch of leftover packets from your last takeout order at your local Chinese restaurant. But if you're living on an extreme budget, you probably haven't been ordering from Chinese takeout, so you probably won't have sauce packets laying around. So as a bit of a social experiment, I went to 3 different Chinese restaurants without ordering anything and simply asked for 6 packets of each sauce, which all 3 restaurants obliged, with no questions. I know it's not really a big deal because those little sauce packets don't cost the restaurant a whole lot, but the restaurant's a business and they're in a business to make money. So anything they give away, they're losing money, even if it's only a couple cents. That adds up. And it was very gracious of them to give them to us. But I'm pretty sure a lot of other fast food places would do the same if you just go in and ask nicely. So we cut our pork up into small bite-sized pieces, and we also left the fat on. You guys know me, I love fat, especially pork fat. If you don't want the fat, trim it off. But by leaving the fat on the pork, it gives you more bang for your buck, calorie-wise. And when you're living day to day on a very tight budget and you're not sure when or what you're going to be eating next, those extra calories from the fat will come in handy. We're going to season our pork with a couple packets of the soy sauce, and then a little bit of salt, pepper, and garlic. Then give it a good mix. And then once everything's mixed in, let it marinate for about 10 to 15 minutes. And if you happen to have other seasonings laying around, feel free to add what you like. While our meat's marinating, bring a large pot of water up to a boil. And then add your frozen mixed vegetables and your frozen stir-fry mix. And I know this isn't going to sound like it makes sense, but it does. The reason I'm blanching these vegetables is to get rid of the excess moisture. So very quickly blanching the vegetables shocks the vegetables, which obviously very quickly gets rid of the ice on the outside of the vegetables, but also the excess moisture inside the vegetables. And it also brings out the vibrant colors of the vegetables. If you try to cook these vegetables with the excess moisture in them, you're going to end up boiling your whole dish instead of stir-frying it. So after about 20 to 30 seconds, remove the vegetables from the water and drain very well in a colander. Once all the vegetables are removed, bring the pot of water back up to a boil, and then add your 5 packs of ramen. Now the directions say to cook these in boiling water for 3 minutes, because we're going to cook them more after we boil them. After cooking for a minute, give them a good mix to break up all the noodles. Then after a minute and a half, we added 1 seasoning packet. And yes, I know, this seasoning packet is what makes the ramen taste so good. But each chicken seasoning packet has 1,320 milligrams of sodium. So you do the math if I added all 5 of them. And I know I'm going to get comments that sodium is good for us and we need it. And that is 100% correct. But there's this thing called moderation. But hey, that's just me. 1 packet worked out good for us. If you think you need all 5 packets, by all means, add them all in. And yes, the dish will taste better. So after 2 minutes, drain the ramen and do not rinse. If the ramen does happen to stick together, drizzle a little bit of oil over it if you have it. After marinating for 10 minutes, our pork is ready to cook. So add the pork into a large skillet over high heat with a little bit of oil in it. And then spread the pork out into a nice even layer. And then let it sit there and cook for about 30 seconds without touching it. After 30 seconds, give the pork a good mix. And then let it sit there for another 30 seconds. And continue that for about 2 minutes. These are real thin pieces of pork and don't take very long at all to cook. After 2 minutes, add the mixed vegetables and the stir-fry vegetables. Then spread out the vegetables and let them cook for about 30 seconds. If you like softer vegetables, let them cook for a little bit longer. Then after 30 seconds, give them a real quick mix. And then spread them back out into an even layer. And then add the 6 eggs that you beat like they stole your lunch money. Then give them a little shaky of salt and pepper. And then let the eggs sit there and cook for about 30 seconds. If you start mixing them up too soon, you're going to have egg soup. After 30 seconds, start chopping up the eggs and give them a little bit of a mix. And then let them sit there for 30 more seconds. And then after another 30 seconds for a minute total, the eggs should be set and cooked through. So give them one more mix. And then combine the eggs, the pork, and the vegetables into the pot with the ramen. And I did end up having to drizzle just a little bit of oil over the ramen to keep it from sticking together. Now give it all a good mix. And although I did anticipate this looking a little bit better, it smelled pretty darn good. And then once everything's all mixed up, finish it off with 2 to 3 packs of soy sauce. And I already know what some of you are saying. I left out some of the chicken seasoning packets because they had too much sodium, but then I'm contradicting myself by adding soy sauce. Well, like I said, each packet of chicken seasoning had 1,320 milligrams of sodium. Each packet of soy sauce only has 320 milligrams of sodium. And there you have it, a huge piping hot bowl full of instant ramen, fresh pork loin, vegetables, and eggs. Enough to feed 6 to 8 people, a hearty, somewhat nutritious, and delicious meal. And if you're wondering what happened to the duck sauce and the mustard, as usual, I was overruled by my family not to put it in the main dish, which was fine. I just added them to my plate. There's so many different seasonings or sauces you could add to this to tweak it to your liking. I thought the mustard and duck sauce combination was phenomenal, but my wife tried a leftover packet of Popeye's sweet heat sauce and loved it. You also don't have to use ramen for this. You can use spaghetti or any other pasta you like, rice or chopped up potatoes, or you could simply use the other half dozen eggs and make a scramble, omelets, or a frittata. And I really hope by making these videos that I'm helping people, or at least someone, even if it's just one person, come up with an idea to make a hearty, somewhat nutritious, and delicious meal with just a few bucks. Thank you all very much for watching. Please don't forget to like this video, leave a comment, subscribe, and share it with your family and friends, and I'll see you soon.